Okay, so with a top 10 best movies of 2015, there has to be a top 10 worst of 2015. And no, you won't see Fantastic Four or Jen the Holograms or the new Paranormal Activity movie because I'm better than that. With those, I definitely dodged some bullets. But with these, they hit me right there.
She always comes back.
Are you sure there's nobody else living here?
There is no escaping the woman in black.
So number 10 is the god-awful Woman in Black 2, Angel of Death. I mean, the first one is not the greatest, but it definitely doesn't deserve a sequel like this. Being the first movie I saw in 2015, January 2nd, no one should have expected that it would be good. The entire thing had awful plot devices. It tried to set things up that really didn't work. It tried to make this kind of like throwback to the World War II type of horror movie, but they just failed. Making this entire setup totally cringeworthy. The Woman in Black was pretty much like Bagul and Sinister 2. She popped up everywhere, but just stood there and did nothing. The acting from adults and the kids were actually very strong, but all of their hard work should not be put on this bad movie. All leading up to one of the most cliche horror movie endings of all time.
If you see a witch, kill it.
We're not all evil, you know.
I can't do this. I'm not like you.
Join us.
Alright, so my number 9 pick came out early February, but it's just as bad as the worst January movies to come out. It's Seventh Son. Did anyone actually see this? Being me, I went on complete movie mayhem in January of 2015. I saw everything. So, I was sick one day, and I decided to go see a movie, and this was the only one that I had not seen, and since it's January, they all sucked. Including this one. Jeff Bridges and Julianne Moore, why were you in this? Being the movie that almost cost Julianne Moore the Oscar for Still Alice, this isn't even close to being able to be worth losing an Oscar for. Yeah, some of the CGI is definitely impressive and the 3D effects are there, but the secondary and introducing cast members were just... I'd never want to see them again. At least Kit Harington can run away with a little bit of respect since he died in the beginning. That's not a spoiler because it's... But the lighting's definitely good for what it is, but it's pretty much like putting a light up to my grade point average. It looks good, but it's still shit. The movie sucks.
You made a bomb? What are you, the Taliban?
Let's kick some zombie ass.
We're fine! Everything's under control!
So my number 8 is one that hit me. It hit me hard. Me being a huge fan of zombie comedies, I wanted this to be good. But sadly, it wasn't. It's so sad because just by the title, it just sounds like fun. It had so much potential, but it's like a 12-year-old wrote it. The cast was generic and honestly two-dimensional. And all they delivered was tit and dick jokes, honestly. And some of the sequences are just awful and kind of gross. And all you can do with those scenes is just imagine what they could have been. The only good part is really the 5 minutes when they battle zombies, which is in the trailer.
It's gonna be a long night.
You told us so much more than I could ever have imagined.
I'm scared. You think you're real. Do you know what's in here? A bunch of wires, mate.
He's more than just a machine.
This is the day of reckoning.
Chappy, help us!
Chappy, do something!
For my next one, this was one that we all knew was coming. It's Chappy. Being directed and pretty much made by one of the up-and-coming science fiction director-writer things. Since District 9, which was nominated for Best Picture, everyone thought that this guy had a gift. But then Elysium came on, and people started losing hope, but they still had it. Then there's this, and lost all hope. Hugh Jackman and Sigourney Weaver in this. I don't really know why. Hugh Jackman should honestly still stay as Wolverine because that's the epitome of his career. And the story that the trailer sets up, and it seems sort of interesting and it could work, it is completely pummeled by an awful cliche and dumb plot. I should have known because I guess this whole movie revolves around a metal band. They cast a metal band. So making Chappy himself and the entire cast overall annoying. There's pretty much nothing good about this movie.
Where are the packages?
These are the packages. Now drive.
Thought you John Wayne types just let it roll off your back.
That was the old days. Now we hold grudges and get revenge.
Don't worry. We will make him pay.
For my next awful pick that I sadly saw was the next installment to the Transporter series. It's Transporter Refueled. If you have to add one of those extra titles that start with an R.E., G.I. Joe Retaliation, Silent Hill, Revelation, they don't work. So without Jason Statham, there's nothing fun about it. It's boring, it's mediocre, it's almost unwatchable. The amount of stupidity in this, you just can't forget it. Even the cool scenes that are there, they're just buried in this awful everything. And they had some cool practical effects in there, but they probably had maybe like 5 cameras rolling at the same time, getting this one car crashing. And they used clips and clips of every single camera. And it looked awful, it looked messy, and it looked sloppy. And it also tried to make action out of nothing. It tried to be kind of like a Mission Impossible, make a cool action scene about whatever's there. They were like in a, I don't know what it was, there were a lot of drawers, and he was pulling out drawers, and it didn't work. I pretty much have nothing else to say. 4 is definitely enough.
The wrong part of the yard, white boy. You lost this, eh?
I'm very confused.
Then go back where you belong.
I don't know where I belong.
I know where you belong. You belong with me.
I don't want that.
We do this, we do it hard. I can get hard. As your incarceration expert, this is my job to prepare you. We are about to simulate a prison riot.
That was intense, right?
Actually, I feel fine.
Ow!
What?
For my next pick, it was one that I went on a double feature with my number 1 pick. It's Get Hard. No, it's not as bad as my number 1 pick, but it's still pretty bad. It's barely funny. There's probably maybe one joke that made me laugh. I'll be honest, I liked The Wedding Ringer. I thought that it was funny. Josh Gad and Kaylee Cuoco, they were funny. They all had great charisma in it. But sadly, Kevin Hart came out with Get Hard. And I've completely lost hope with the man. Will Ferrell is Will Ferrell. You see his ass a few times. That's that. Will Ferrell. It supplies little to no laughs, with maybe one or two sprinkled around. It's also a very generic plot that honestly should have been done before, and it could have been done a lot better. Kevin Hart has a good idea with plots, but he just isn't good at maneuvering them the way he thinks he can. Similar to Hot Pursuit, Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell are Sofia Vergara and Reese Witherspoon. In the trailers, they look like a great pair that could do stuff and make a well-made blockbuster, but you watch it and they just turn into a blunder. But the thing that made me most upset was the way it turned into like a 21 Jump Street action comedy, just without the action and the comedy, just making this a blank space that shouldn't exist. Pretty much an uninspired cast, uninspired crew to make an uninspired movie.
Donkey Kong.
It's just a barrel. How bad could it hurt?
The only way to take down Pac-Man is with ghosts.
You want ghosts? These are your ghosts.
Oh, yeah! Hello, my sweet little boy. Look how big you've grown.
It's so sweet. He's so sweet.
I know. You're a good boy.
Somebody annihilate this stupid thing!
Another one that I expected to be kind of like a guilty pleasure, 60% so bad it's good movie. It's Adam Sandler and Kevin James in Pixels. So, based off the Futurama TV show episode, Pixels is about they shoot up a space shuttle in space and contact video games. They copied a TV show and they couldn't even do that right. Seeing Adam Sandler in the trailer, knowing his past movies, that should have turned on some type of switch. But I guess since I'm pretty much the only person that liked Blended, I had some type of faith. But with this one, all faith with Adam Sandler's gone. I won't be watching The Cobbler. I won't be watching anything else of his. Josh Gad, I liked him in Wedding Ringer, as I said. He pretty much just screamed at everything and tried to get some laughs. It obviously didn't work. Peter Dinklage actually was funny. Some of his one-liners were really the only up points to this film. Other than that, it's the stereotypical Adam Sandler comedy. He meets a girl, denies him, gets a chance, blows it, gets the girl, wins. Pixels.
Here comes the boogeyman. Don't let him come too close to you. He'll catch you if he can. Catch you if he can. Catch you if he can. Catch you if he can.
Continuing my insanely disappointing list, it's another missed opportunity. It is Sinister 2. Again, another very disappointing opportunity. The first Sinister wasn't even that great, but it was definitely a good contender in the 2012 horror run. But since it made over $50 million domestically, they had to make a sequel. Why exactly does this exist? The first one made money, so that means the second one's gonna make money, right? I honestly hope that everyone involved in this turns into nothing. If you think that's too much, you're probably right, but to those that have seen the sequel, you totally agree with me. Just like in Woman in Black 2, the Woman in Black surrounded nothing, and so did Bagul. He pretty much just would show up like a door would close and you'd see him in the reflection. That's pretty much all he did in the movie. And in the first film, you can actually see all of the different years. Like, the first one was 30 this years ago, the first one was 40, and then it's a totally cool timeline. But this one, he has a totally new lineup of kids. So if they're going to break their own rules and pretty much just get like 8 more kids in a matter of 3 years, do your thing, but you just look dumb. And the one thing I hated about the first one was the ending where Bagul pops out. It did the same thing. But just also in the first one, they had the great kill scenes that were gruesome and pretty disturbing. This one definitely had the cool bloody scenes, but they were all spoiled in maybe 5 trailers that it had. Getting into the theater, which is a very strict theater that doesn't allow people under 17 to get into a rated R movie in the first place, sneaking in and lying to the person up front was more intense to this movie. And the fact that it sets it up for a prequel, I'm done.
He totally just came in here to show off his six-pack.
That's not what I was trying to do.
We're just going on and on with these missed opportunities. Number 2 is one that I honestly thought looked pretty funny by the trailers. It's Ed Helms and Christina Applegate in Vacation. We have all seen at least one Vacation movie. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's Vacation, Animal House, whatever one. We've all seen one. And the trailer honestly looked funny. It had the 21 Jump Street formula with being its own movie and not comparing itself to the old ones. Vacation did good on that aspect and a few other funny jokes around, but just like every other comedy nowadays, everything was spoiled in countless TV spots and trailers and red bands. Vacation does not stand on its own. It tries to lean back on the good things that it has to try and have a decent structure, but it doesn't. The kids have some type of originality. The two are a great pair and have something that I've never seen before. A younger brother picking on an older brother. It's honestly very original. But the rest of the worst aspects of the film just pile on top of them and smother them. Pretty much leaving them the top points for a flat and mediocre reboot that I will use as fire kindling.
But what can people do to hurt a mountain?
What is this place? Oh my god.
Zoe, we can help you.
It's too late for that. You have no idea what you've done. But you will.